Welcome to this EPMA quick guide video, which will go through key aspects of the EPMA printed paper medication chart, alternatively known as the MAC report, Medication Administration Chart, for use during system downtime on the evening of the EPMA system upgrade. This quick guide video is specifically for nursing staff who will be using the printed medication charts to record medication administrations. Presented on the screen now is an example MAC report. The top of the MAC report is where the patient banner is presented, and hence the patient demographic details. So for example, the patient name, their address, the hospital number, which is the RIO number, national number, the NHS number, patient's date of birth, and the consultant and ward to which they are currently admitted. There is also an allergies and sensitivities section. Where this section is blank, it means there are currently no recorded allergies or sensitivities for the patient. Alternatively, if there is anything recorded, this will be presented here. On the top right, the requested by section displays the username of the person that has printed the MAC report and the date and time on which they printed it. This date and time is extremely important. After this date and time, up until authorised by the EPMA team, the patient's EPMA record must not be accessed, and this MAC report must be used for recording medication administrations. On the very top right, you will see the total number of pages for this MAC report for this particular patient. Moving on to the main section, the first one being regular scheduled medications. On the left-hand side of the section is where details of all the prescribed medication is presented. And for each medication, you will see the medication name, the strength and the formulation, the dose prescribed, and the frequency. Beneath that, we have the prescriber name and the order start date and time. For some medicines, such as the tramadol here, you will notice there is also an order stop date and time. This means that this medication was stopped on the 10th of November at 7:01 in the morning. And in the case of medication, on the regular side, you will also have a section that states when the last dose was given, and there is a date and time presented. For medicines such as drug not on system, there are some additional information such as the plus sign. I will come to that shortly, as there is a key at the bottom that I will go through. And you will see for each of the medicines prescribed, there is a route stated. On the right-hand side of the screen is where you have the medication administration recording section. The current date will be displayed, followed by 6 further dates. And against each date, there will be a section that will tell you the time the medication is due for administration. So in the case of the Ramipril 10 milligram capsules prescribed each morning, the due time is 8 AM in the morning. You can see against 8 AM on the 10th, 11th, 12th and ongoing, there is a box. And depending on whether the box is shaded or not, will allow you to determine whether that medication is available for administration or not. In the case of the Ramipril for the 10th of November, the box is shaded. And if we look at the key tells us that a shaded grey box tells us that the medicine is not to be administered at this time. In the case of tramadol on the 10th of November, there is an A against the 7 AM. Looking at the key again, the A means that that has already been administered. The A basically means that within the EPMA system itself, that medication was charted and has already been administered for that time. You can see there are 2 entries for tramadol. As already mentioned, the first entry has a stop date. The second entry has a modification reason, change of frequency. So what this tells you is that the original each morning tramadol prescription has been changed to a twice daily administration prescription. And each frequency will have associated administration times on the right-hand side of the MAC report. So in the case of this tramadol, the twice a day dosing is 8 AM and 10 PM. You can see the 8 AM is shaded out, but the 10 PM is available, which means that that medication can be administered. Moving on to the next section, regular medicines will continue. For drug not on system, where a plus sign is available next to the order, looking at the key once again, the plus sign means that an order note exists. I will shortly come on to show you where the order notes on the MAC report are. Moving on to the next section, regular scheduled medications, you can see there are 4 blank sections. This is available for prescribers to prescribe any new medication that may be required during the period of downtime. They would simply make an entry here. There is a once only and pre-medication drug section, typically stats. If the prescriber during downtime needs to prescribe a stat, they would do that here and communicate to the nursing staff in order to administer. The next section moves on to as required prescriptions. So PRNs, this is where all the PRN medicines for the patient will be listed. Where there are either or protocols, you can see that is clearly stated. In this example, either lorazepam 1 mg tablets or lorazepam 4 mg in 1 ml injection. For PRNs, just like the regulars, the dose is stated, the fact that it's PRN, the order start date, the route, and for PRNs, the indication and the maximum dose that would have been prescribed in the EPMA system itself. Any modification reasons, again, will be presented. If the PRN is listed, then that means that is currently an active prescription and available for administration, depending on when the last dose was given. You can see in the case of lorazepam 1 mg tablets, there is also a section that states last dose given, date, time, and the dose that was given. And as the nurse, you would use this information to determine if you can, during period of downtime, administer any further doses of that PRN. In the case of paracetamol, as an example, there is no last dose stated. What that means is there were no doses administered within the EPMA system. Moving on to the next section, I will now touch on the patient notes and order notes. Patient notes will be presented first. You can see in this example for this particular patient, there is a consent to treatment form note, highlighting to the nursing staff that there is a T2 that must be referred to during the administration process. Please ensure when you are following through the medication administration process, you are checking the entire MAC report before you start preparing and administering medication. The next section will detail any order notes. So you can see, for example, here, this is the drug not on system against which a note is attached. And as you know, for drug not on system, the doctors complete an order note telling you what medication needs to be administered and the dose to be administered. And this is where, from the regular section, where you see the plus sign, you must navigate towards the end of the MAC report to find the relevant order note. As per the standard medication administration process, go through the MAC report, prepare medication for administration, administer to the patient, and you will then record the administration on the MAC report itself. I will now show you an example of a MAC report where a nurse has administered and signed for medication, and also an example of recording a non-administration. So in this case, the nurse checked the MAC report for all medication due at the relevant time. So in this case, November the 10th being the current date. Tramadol was due at 10 o'clock. The nurse has administered that medication and signed the administration box against the date and time. Moving on to the next medication. Lactulose was due again at 10 o'clock. This has been administered, and so the nurse has signed the administration box against that medication and that time. In the case of chloramphenicol 0.5% eye drops, however, which was also due at 10 o'clock, the nurse has stated NA. And remembering the key, NA means not administered. For the purpose of downtime, we are asking the nursing staff for recording any non-administrations to state NA on the MAC report, and within the patient's RIO record, when you complete the progress note entry, state the reason for the non-administration there. For example, could be patient refused, drug unavailable, etc. So just to recap, any non-administrations on the MAC report itself, you will simply state NA, meaning not administered, and within the patient's progress notes within RIO is where you will then state why that medicine was not administered. For PRNs, follow a similar process. In this example, the nurse has administered paracetamol tablets, stating the date, the time of administration, the dose administered, and their initials. That completes this quick guide video. Thank you very much for listening. Any questions, please do contact the EPMA team, who will also be available during the period of downtime to answer any questions you may have via the standard help desk telephone number that you can find on your desktops. Thank you very much.